from the Press of Atlantic City. Long time on the Eagles beat. And it seems like every year, Dave, there's interesting stories that emerge at Eagles camp. Would you say this is a tame Eagles camp, or has it been another story-filled Eagles camp?
Probably more from a team aspect, I think, than an individual. You don't really have the, I guess, the buzz that you've had like in some previous years. But overall, I think it's going to be an interesting season. You know, everybody's wondering how Doug Pederson is going to make out of his first year, how if and when Carson Wentz gets to play, how he's going to do. So there's a little bit of excitement, but not to the level that it's been in the past years. I guess maybe there's expectations aren't as high. I guess.
What's your initial impression, I guess I should say, of Pederson?
Honestly, I don't have a basis for it, but I just get this feeling somehow that he's like in over his head a little bit, that he's almost like going on the fly. Like there's like questions that he's not prepared for sometimes that he kind of like stumbles over. I mean, I assume it's going to turn out okay. I mean, the fact that he spent so much time learning and under Andy Reid, but I just can't get past the fact that the Eagles were the only team that interviewed him. That, you know, he wasn't like sought after like some of the other guys, and that just makes me wonder if he's like really ready for this.
It's an interesting take because I kind of talked about it yesterday, Dave, how he seems very willing to delegate, and it seems like Jim Schwartz has a lot of say. It seems that he's almost kind of allowing Jim Schwartz's head coaching background to like set the tone for this team.
Yeah, especially from the defensive side, I guess. I think he's got to be careful not to let Jim's personality kind of like take over though, because Jim's a very strong personality, very, like you said, head coaching background, and very popular, kind of outgoing kind of guy, where Doug's more laid back. But Doug's the head coach, and he's got to make sure that he puts his stamp on this. He's been taught. I sat down with him a couple of days ago for just a one-on-one interview, and he was saying how he's aware of that he knows that this is his team, and he wants people to realize that. But so far, like you said, Jim's kind of like taken over a little bit as far as like just from a fan standpoint, I guess.
It almost seems that he's taken over as the GM too, with all these guys that he's been picking up, right? Yeah, that's true. I'm not quite getting. I know everybody's like real hot on Steven Tulloch, but they've been kind of downplaying it almost. That, you know, the assumption was that he's going to, you know, step right into the middle, and then they're going to move Jordan Hicks to the weak side, and, you know, Kendricks going to be on the bench or whatever. But Doug seems to, and even Jim seems to think that Tulloch's got to earn his spot here. That they just have to. It's good that they signed him, I guess, from a depth perspective, but I'm not so sure that he's going to like automatically like just jump into the middle and be the starter and the leader of the defense. Dave Weinberg, Press of Atlantic City, is with us. You wrote a piece the other day, Dave, that said the Eagles are going to have to let go of some good players. And I guess a lot of people are out there thinking, well, who are these good players, and why is a team that doesn't have a lot of high expectations getting rid of good players? So who are some guys that you think are in trouble?
Well, it's not that I think they're good players. It's that's what Pederson said. You know, I got to couch that he said he's going to be having to let go. Like the toughest part of his job is going to be cutting down to 53.
Coach speak,
and
you're saying.
Because they've got some depth. What's that?
Coach speak, you're saying.
Coach speak, yeah. I mean, there are some guys who, you know, theoretically, you know, have a little bit of a background. I mean, Chris Givens is certainly on the bubble. I think Ruben Randall might be too. Now that they signed Green-Beckham, you know, that leaves somebody out of the mix, and I don't know who that's going to be. And they seem to be really high on Paul Turner, too, the rookie free agent. So, you know, maybe they're thinking maybe him instead of Josh Huff. You know, so I think there's going to be like one or two receivers with a little bit of a background, a little bit of experience that are going to be let go. You know, who they are, I don't know. And whether they're that good, you know, if they were that good, I think they'd be sticking. So I don't know. But I think offensive line is going to be they got some depth there too, so I think there's people going to be let go. Although I don't know who. I think they're probably just going to stick with the guys who are proven. And with the draft pick with Isaac Samalo being the starter left guard, that kind of makes me wonder a little bit, because I thought he was terrible other night. But they seem to be thinking he's getting better, so I guess I got to trust what they think. But I don't know why Steven Wisniewski hasn't gotten some reps with the first team there.
He will Saturday, right? Sayamala, did he get hurt today? Did I read that?
Oh, did he? I don't know. I'm on vacation, to be honest with you. I'm on the beach in Cape May. So I don't know.
Look at you. I think he did. I think Sayamala got hurt today. I think he had a pec injury, not a torn, not where he's going to miss like the start of the season.
Really?
But I think he did get hurt today. But, he's interesting because yesterday Frank Reich said, well, the first game he was going the wrong directions. The second game he got a lot better, and then that has, come out to the practice field. But I want to go back to the receivers because you just mentioned Givens on the bubble, maybe Randall too. I want to get your take on this Turner because every year it seems like there's a Mr. Lehigh. Some receiver sticks out, and everyone attaches themselves. Do you realistically think that, number one, he makes the team, and number two, if he did make the team, that he realistically would play and make some sort of impact?
No. Well, I don't know. I think that you probably get away with hiding him on the practice squad, to be honest with you. I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of demand for Paul Turner if you cut him. And if you do, so what? Just like you said, there's Paul Turners that come around every year.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's any big loss. But, I mean, he has been impressive, though. He catches everything that's thrown to him, which puts him a step ahead of a lot of other guys. Seem to be dropping balls all over the place like they did last year, too.
Let me ask you something about that. Because Barrett Brooks was on yesterday, and we've had other guys, but he said, look, Fred Barnett would go a week without dropping a pass. Like, this is commonplace in the NFL. When you used to watch these guys, back when you had more access to watch practice, was it commonplace that receivers, even backup receivers, caught the ball consistently as opposed to what you see now?
Oh yeah, Barrett's very much right on that one. Yeah, you would see guys go a week without dropping anything, and the entire team. Yeah, this is really puzzling. I don't know what it is because it's not like for a lack of effort. I mean, you see them after practice working on the jugs machines and catching tennis balls and turning, on odd angles and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know what it is that when they get in game situations, it doesn't seem to work out their way. But, this is a big change from what I've seen in the past years, like you said with the Fred Barnetts and, Kevin Williams and those kind of guys. They hardly ever drop the ball.
Dave Weinberg from
those kind of guys.
Yeah, it's crazy that we keep reading that guys just can't flat out catch the ball. What is your take on Ruben Randall? Because he's obviously a second-round pick. He averages 5 touchdowns a year. He had 8 touchdowns. He almost had 1,000 yards a couple of years ago. He seems to be an enigma.
Yeah, that was kind of like his reputation coming over from the Giants, that he tends to have a little bit of, I don't want to say diva in him, but tends to space out when things aren't going. As balls are getting thrown to him a lot. But to be honest with you, I don't have a take on him because he hasn't done anything yet. I'm still waiting for him and Givens and all these other guys to just break through, do something. And Aguilar had one nice catch against Steelers, and then he dropped the next ball that came his way. So, I haven't seen anybody step up and take control of this job. I mean, especially the opportunities there with Jordan Matthews sitting out. Yep. So you would think that somebody would rise to the occasion, but nobody's done it yet.
Well, a lot of your fellow scribes have been very critical of Ruben Randall, and it just sounds like yourself included. Like, yo, you've got talent, man. What are you doing? And sometimes you've probably seen guys over the years that you watch with the physical tools and just don't care.
Yeah, yep. Hank Baskett was like that, I think. He had all the ability in the world, I thought, but just never was able to, to make the most of it. I'm really curious when you talk about stuff like that. I'm really curious to see how Dorial Green-Beckham makes out, because he had a pretty decent year last year. I thought
better than Aguilar.
Yeah, and I just can't. I don't understand why a team would give up on a guy, a second-round pick who's 6'5" and 235, and runs a 4.4 or whatever, catches 37 passes his rookie year. Why would you give up on somebody like that for Dennis Kelly? There's got to be something more to that just hasn't come out yet. And it's got to be more than just his attitude, because you don't give up on a talent like that just for nothing after 1 year.
Maybe he had a girl in his dorm room during training camp.
Yeah, that would be the other guy, right?
What was that guy's name? He's already cut, too, right? He already got cut?
Yeah, actually, the Eagles signed him.
Yeah, right,
yeah.
No, let's talk. Let's
Dorian
talk.
Jones, I think.
Dorian Grant. Dorian Long. Thanks, Josh. Dorial Green-Beckham, as you mentioned, to you, is he a lock to make, like the Eagles aren't cutting him, right?
Oh, heck yeah. No. He's on the team. Yeah, absolutely. And I got a chance to talk to him a little bit the other day, and
cool.
He strikes me as a really likable kid, outgoing, smiling. I mean, it seems like willing to work hard. I don't know. Maybe he just got off on the wrong foot with Tennessee and never got on the right one. I don't know, but it's just he said all the right things the other day, and he acted the right way, and he promised to work, and he wants to show the coaching staff that he's a hard worker. He's going to promise to stay in the playbook and get up to speed as fast as he can.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really puzzled by what the Titans did there.
Your take on Josh Huff's stay on this team?
I think he might stay only because of his ability as a returner, as a kickoff returner specifically. He's capable of taking one to the house. I think he had like a 40-yard return. It was either against the Bucs or the Steelers, I forget which. But he's probably their best kickoff returner as it is. If they can find somebody else who can step under that role, then I think his job might be in danger a little bit, because he hasn't really shown much on offense at all, even less than like Aguilar and those other guys. So I think he might be on the ball, but I think his return ability might save him.
Is Aguilar in trouble, or does he make this team?
No, they don't give up. They won't give up on a first-round pick.
Will they give up on Marcus Smith?
Yes. I think you'd probably have to wait a couple of years, and Marcus Smith's had like 2 years now.
Yeah.
And although Jim he was a little bit of encouraged by what he's seen recently out of Marcus, but I just don't think I think he's going to have to go somewhere else and probably like a fresh start, the kind of thing, and maybe find somebody that's willing to be a little more patient with him. I mean, they've given him every opportunity; he just doesn't take advantage of it. So yeah, I don't see him making the team.
All right, Dave Weinberg's with us from the Press of Atlantic City, 23 years covering the Philadelphia Eagles, which earns him a day on the beach today. I like that. Let me get your take on Michael Kendricks, because he seems to be the one that maybe Schwartz wants to replace. Is that warranted?
Yeah, so far. I mean, he's one of those guys like you were talking before about some of the wide receivers who have all that ability and just never show it. He's the same way. I mean, just when you think he's ready to break through and be that Pro Bowl level linebacker, he gets hurt, or he makes a stupid mistake, or it's just like even he admitted he's just one nagging injury after another that just keeps him from reaching his potential. And they might maybe bringing Tulloch in here kind of like sends out a message that maybe they're getting tired of him a little bit. Maybe he does have to step up and play through some of these nagging things if he really wants to be a part of the defense, because the possibility is there that they just move Hicks over to the weak side and Kendricks finds himself on the bench or whatever. So yeah, he's another guy who's he's an enigma too. He has all this ability and he shows flashes here and there, but then something stupid happens, he gets hurt, or he makes a mistake or something, then he's back in the doghouse again. So
well, Hicks,
he's one that. Go ahead.
Hicks last year made an impact in the few games he played, but the knock on him has been that he's been hurt too.
Injury.
Has he displayed the playmaking ability so far in camp? And we haven't seen a lot of him in the games, but does he look like the guy that you saw playing last year?
It's kind of hard to tell because they haven't done a lot of hitting in the last couple of weeks, if any, and that's when you're going to tell, like in the games. Like even last year, like during training camp, he was pretty much invisible. I mean, everybody thought he'd be like a special teams guy, maybe get some playing time here and there, and then when he got in the games, that's when the lights came on, and he really showed his ability. And I think that might be the case here too. I don't know if he's as much of a practice player as a gamer. And so I'm expecting, or at least if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm hoping that once the season starts, that's when you're going to see, Jordan Hicks really come through and take ownership of that middle linebacker spot.
All right. I want to get your take on Jim Schwartz. Yesterday, Pete Thompson kind of referred to him as, the Jim Johnson of this team, that maybe the identity really will be Jim Schwartz's defense. Does he seem to have that kind of respect from his defensive players where they really believe in what he's doing?
Yeah, I think so. I think it might be a little too soon to maybe, put him in Jim Johnson's category. But I think it's kind of strange because the guys that really respect him are the guys that played for him before, the Nigel Bradhams and Ron Brooks and Leotis McKelvin. He's brought in like 3 or 4 guys who played with him in the past, and they're the ones who like singing his praises. Well, you do hear like Malcolm Jenkins and those guys talk about him too. So he does have the respect, but I'm not willing to, put him in that Hall of Fame category quite just yet.
I don't mean that. I don't know that I mean in terms of he's on the same level. I mean maybe the way that.
Personality-wise?
Just that Johnson seemed to be such an important figure for the team, even almost like recognized more than Andy was during that tenure. People would almost talk about Jim Johnson and that defense more so than they liked Andy Reid.
Right, yeah, you can see that happening like we were talking about earlier because Jim's such a strong personality and Doug is more laid back. You can definitely see this as if you're going to take the personality of a team, this would definitely be their defense. The defense would be the personality of the Eagles this year, which I know the Eagles fans would love to hear because they seem to be really most excited when this, guys are flying around and knocking quarterbacks out and that kind of stuff. So, I think that's a fair assessment. You could probably say this is going to be the defense is probably going to be the face of the team this year.
How big of a year do you think Fletcher Cox has?
No, monster. I think this is made for him. And he just strikes me as one of those guys who's not going to let the money get in his head. That he's not going to be content with just having a big paycheck every week. He seems to be one of those guys who really is never satisfied, even as good a year as he had last year. I think he wants to do even better, and I think you'll see that. I think this 4-3 defense is really made for him.
I agree. I feel like if you were to handpick a guy that you were going to give that contract in this league, like he would be the guy that you would say, I can give you that kind of money. He just seems like such a down-to-earth, nice guy, and I agree with you. Big things for him. Real quick, a couple other things. Who's going to be the kicker?
Caleb Surges, if he can keep getting hit from punts.
Yeah, what happened? I saw that he's going to – did you tweet this, that – he's going to keep his same routine. He's just going to wear a helmet now instead.
Yeah, he's not taking his helmet off anymore.
Oh my Lord!
But he's been the better kicker so far. He's in practice and in training camp and during the preseason. So, which is kind of surprising me because everybody, Cody Parkey was supposed to be the next Pro Bowler. Actually, I think he made the Pro Bowl his first year here. So
that kid Parkey was the story of that 14 season.
Oh, yeah. He came out of nowhere. Remember, he got cut by the Colts, I think?
No, the Eagles traded for him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
David Fluellen, man. David Fluellen.
Yeah, good memory. Yeah.
Well, I'm not on the beach, man. I'm in here working.
There you go. Yeah, I'm watching Dolphins go by. So.
I love it. Sport Pass 97.3 ESPN. Hey, you mentioned some of the former Schwartz guys, Bradham, McKelvin. They stand out. I mean, can you tell that these guys, they know what they're doing? They've been in this system?
McKelvin especially, yes. He's been kind of one of those stars of training camp that you were talking about before. He really stood out early, and he's maintained that the rest of the way. I've been really impressed. I kind of had my doubts on who the corners were going to be, but I definitely think he'll be one of them. Bradham, I'm not so sure of yet. He's in the category where I'm just waiting to see what he's going to do. Jim has kind of kept the defense kind of vanilla during the 2 preseason games, so you haven't really seen too much. But, he seems to always be in the right spot at the right time, but, he hasn't been that big playmaker yet, but I'm sure that'll change when the season starts.
All right, Dave Weinberg from the Press of Atlantic City here as the Eagles get ready to take on the Colts on Saturday. You can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Well, I guess they got to make a next round of cuts on Tuesday, right? Is that the next cut-down day, Tuesday?
The 30th, whenever that is. Is it Tuesday?
I believe so. Yep. So we'll see.
Then they cut the 75. Yep.
Yep. All right. We'll see who ends up getting the snip that day, and should be some other very interesting things. And then let me get I know it's hard because he's been hurt, but your impressions of Carson Wentz.
I'm not quite as high on him as other people are. Everybody, says he certainly has the physical traits that you want in a quarterback, and he's very confident in himself. But I'm not ready to anoint him as the next Peyton Manning or Cam Newton quite yet. I just don't. I think they're doing the right thing by sitting him for a year letting him learn about the life in the NFL, both on and off the field. I mean, it's a big jump, not just coming from college to the NFL, but to come from North Dakota to Philly.
Mm-hmm.
I think people kind of underestimate that. You know, you grow up in like a small town and you come to this. That's a culture shock, and I think it takes time to learn how to deal with it. You know, don't get locked in a bathroom, you know, in the middle of nowhere or whatever he did. I don't know. So, but yeah, I think he's got all the talent in the world, but I'm just not quite. He seems to make there's some mechanical flaws there. I mean, I'm certainly no expert, but it's just from what I see, there seems to be some mechanical flaws there. He throws that pass that he threw for an interception in the opener. That was really a dumb throw, I thought. And so he's got some growing pains to do, but I can see why they drafted him, though, too. They think he has a pretty bright future, and I can see why they do that, why they think that.
Good stuff. Read up on Dave's stuff over at Press of Atlantic City and at Press AC Weinberg on Twitter for his.
By the way, Bradford's going to light it up this year. You watch.
Hey, I said yesterday he's going to make the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, he might. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think he's going to have a monster year.
You think he's going to have a monster year? All right. So you're seeing something out there that you like with no receivers and no running backs and no line. He looks pretty good.
Yeah, he's carrying the team basically.
No, I agree. I think I've been one of the look. I'm here to give an opinion, and on him, I have a hard time giving an opinion. I think he has just been had some very weird things have happened to him that not many people in this league could say have happened. So I don't know that it's fair to make a judgment on what he has been so far up to this point in his career. But I'm glad to hear that you're on my side on that.
Yes, I am. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
I'm in the Bradford bandwagon. Yep.
We'll take that to December with us.
All right, but keep in mind, I picked him to win the Super Bowl last year, so what the heck do I know? You know?
Damn you. Damn you. All right. Enjoy the Dolphins, pal.
All right. See you, Mike.
Dave Weinberg, Press of Atlantic City.